Good morning and welcome back to the woods. As you can see from the thumbnail, I've got a new saw, and this is the Boreal 21. And this morning I'm going to give myself a bit of a scenario, and I'm going to use this saw and this knife, which is a Mora Garberg with a ferrorod on it. And the scenario is, I'm coming into the woods, I'm going to light a fire. I've just got a small dead standing tree. I'm not going to use my chopping block. I'm just going to light the fire and do all the wood processing without the chopping block or anything. It rained heavily last night, so I haven't got much dry wood here, twiggage. So I'm just going to use a few twigs and the splits. And I'm going to time myself doing this. Obviously it's going to take a bit longer because I've got to film, but it's now 9:15 AM. I've got a small tree. Well, it's the top of the tree I cut a couple of weeks ago, and that'll be my small dead standing. Right. I will be giving the saw a good going over later on after the fire's lit, because I got some bigger stuff here and I want to try it out. I thought I'd cut them knot free. Obviously not. and make a few feather sticks. I think 2 should do it. Well, there's my igniter stick done, and this wood on the outside is a bit damp. So I made one of them and one of them. I didn't really want to waste much time making a couple of good ones, I guess, because I don't need to. This piece, the igniter stick, I went on the inside edge of the wood, not the outside edge. So this is nice and dry. I'm going to have to do a bit more battoning now to get some more sticks, and we're good to go. "35 minutes. Now I can probably knock 10 minutes off that for messing about with the camera and attempting to do a teepee when I didn't really need to. Time to get the kettle on. So as a homage to the teepee, I put the logs on teepee fashion. While I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, I was thinking to myself, is it the wood or is it the knife? Now when I left home, this knife was razor sharp. I only did a little bit of battoning and threw very few knots. I'm just going to check now to see if it's still as sharp. Yes, it is. So it must have been the wood. Or is it the grind? Well, my pretty FTP lives in my bag now, so I'm going to try that on the same section of wood and see if it's the grind. It wasn't making a very good feather stick at all. It's the wood. Little bit easier with this because it's my grind, but I'm feeling resistance. So when I'm going down, it doesn't want to glide down the wood. It judders down the wood. So that tells me the wood is slightly damp. Oh yeah, I can feel it now. There we are, that put that to rest. I thought the Garberg was at fault. It wasn't, it was the wood. Right, well I think my kettle's boiling now, so I'm going to have a cup of tea. And then I'm going to do a lot of sawing. Didn't need the flames anymore, so I've dampened it down, put everything nice and close together, bit smokier, but it's going straight up now and not straight in my face like previous weeks, so that's a good thing. Time to do a bit of sawing. Now, I've left the blade that came with the saw on it. I did get a deadwood blade with it, but I thought I'd try it out with this, and on that smaller stuff it worked just fine. Now this, at this end, is about 5 inches. Let's see how good it does, and I'm going to cut all of this up and let's see how much fatigue I've got by the end of it. Well, that's one round down, and this could be bigger. I know if I use my Destrude saw, which is a 24-inch blade, or my 30-inch blade Spring Creek, fly through it. This was having a bit of a job, and I was knocking it by there quite often, so I'd say 4-inch saw, definitely, for cutting 4-inch or less. It is a bit short. Well, I went for the shorter one for the simple reason I've got a 24 and I've got a 30, so that's why I went for this. And I do think I need to change that blade, and say it was fine on the smaller stuff. I'm going to cut a couple more. Well, that's 4 cut off, and that was hard work. Next time I will be putting the deadwood blade in, see if that's any better. Yeah, 5 to 6 inch, bit too big. I'm using the whole length of the saw. It's still knocking on there, and it's hard work. But one thing I do like about this saw, it is so sturdy and the handle is really comfortable. It's much more comfortable than Spring Creek. The Spring Creek one's huge. So I'd say if this was a 24, it would be a lot better than the Spring Creek. But you're paying for that, mind, because these aren't cheap. And when you think about it, you know, your regular back or bow saw, 24-inch, is great. But they're a bitch to pack because they're a bit bulky. And this packs down nice and flat and small. But I do like this saw, but it has its limitations, and I think that blade needs changing. And I can see my kettle's boiled, so I'm going to have another cup of tea. And then I'm going to split this lot up. Time to split these rounds up, and today I brought with me this axe, and this is a Gransforth small forest axe head on a hunting axe haft. And I bought this a year or so ago off Toby Hobby, my leatherworking pal, and I really like this axe. It's nice and it's a bit different. Who doesn't like something a bit different? He made the mask, which is nice, like everything he does. Well, I'm going to split this lot up now. Probably should have brought something with a bit more heft to it, but I fancied bringing this out today. And that's the reason I cut these short. I think they're less than a foot, and they should split pretty easily. Apart from this one, which is full of knots. Did I say they'd split easily? Nah. I'm going to aim off centre on this one. Bit too off centre. Now this one's going to be a son of a bitch, so if I don't get through it, forgive me, I'm going to leave it till I get a heavier axe. Now if I wanted to get a chunk like that out, there's no way I would. There's two big knots here, I'm going between them. Whoop, misfire. Finally. Last one. Oh. Well, that was more work than I thought. I've been using a bigger axe the last month or two. Been using Ultifoes and the Wetterlings, and they are both far better splitters. There we go, 4 rounds split up. Some split easier than others. Well, that's about all the energy I'm going to expend today. I've done everything I wanted to do. Wanted to give the saw a good going over. Wanted to use the Garberg to light the fire because I haven't used it for a while. I don't think I've used it since I sharpened it. Thoughts on the saw. I've given my thoughts, but I'll give them a quick recap again. I like that saw. It's solid, it's easy to open up, but I think the 21-inch blade has its limitations. I wouldn't bother cutting anything more than 4 inches with it. It was a slog cutting through, well, what started about 5 and ended up at 6. It was a bit of a slog. Blades probably playing a part in that too. So my advice would be, if you're going to spend that kind of money on a saw, on that particular saw, I would get the 24-inch and I would put a dead wood blade in it, probably a Barco. I think the Barcos are a little thinner than what comes with them. I may be wrong, but that would be my advice to the saw. But I do like the saw. I'd like to thank Mike here, Mike of Mike's Knives, who runs the UK Knife Show and has a web shop, Mike's Knives. As for the Garberg, let's pull it out. I hate that belly. I do not like it. And I was thinking of taking it off. And I got 2 of these. I got the stainless one as well. But seeing as I don't use it that often, and I've got loads of bush tools which I've made with a nice sweep on it, not that severe sweep, I don't think I'll bother. Always a nice upgrade to change the sheath on these. Same with most Moras. Most Moras are throwaway knives. Buy a nice sheath, you got the sheath for life, and where they're nicer than them horrible plastic ones. They do the job, but a nice aftermarket sheath. If you break the knife, throw it away, buy another one, keep the sheath. And a plug for Toby as well, because Toby's done stuff for me and I've done stuff for Toby, and we bounce off each other. Well, I got a few choice sticks here. I'm going to sit here for the next 20 minutes, whittle them, finish my last cup of tea, and then I'm off home. They are a bit damp though, mine. Right, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, don't do anything. Or tell you what, if you haven't enjoyed it and you think it's worth a thumbs down, tell me why. Just tell me why. Plenty of armchair warriors out there. Never get to the woods. Give their opinions. Most of them shit. So that's it. If you haven't already subscribed and you like what you see, please subscribe. Until the next time, ta-ra. Hello faithful friends. Well, I just made 3 feather sticks. They're a bit short, mind you, but they'll do for next time. I probably won't use them anyway. There's a pile behind me. Right then, well, lockdown's eased a bit, so Russ and I are going camping on the weekend, and we're going somewhere private land, so it should be alright, no problem. I'm starting back in work next week, full pelt, as us Welsh say. That means I got a lot on next week. I'm not looking forward to it at all. So knife makings are a bit like that at the moment. Big thank you. I got to give a big thank you here to Phil Dawson, who sent me what do you like to call a care package in YouTube world. And fair play, he sent me some great stuff. He sent me a titanium pot and coffee press, which I've been thinking about buying for ages. He sent me a Zippo hand warmer, a big huge pot of coffee, and a nice packet of Yorkshire tea, special tea that tastes like a rich tea biscuit's been dunked into it. Haven't tried them yet, but massive thanks Phil, I really appreciate that. And well, that's about it really. Can't think of anything else I want to say, but thank you faithful guys for watching, and as you've seen I have now monetized, and I may get a few quid out of it, and that's good. That's good, because that'll help me. Bigger the channel grows, more money I'll get, more toys I can buy, and show you what's good and what's shit. There we are then. Well, there are a few bloopers after this. Splitting that log down was a complete pain in the ass, the one bad one. So there'll be a bit more footage to come of me swearing and struggling with that, which you may find amusing. Until the next time, goodbye. And I think when I go camping, I'm going to take a rather large knife with me. So if you like big knives, that'll be worth a watch. It's Falcon Modern Bowie. I've had it a couple of months, but I haven't used it. I wanted to wait till I had 24 hours with it. So on my next camp out video, there will be that. And I'm looking forward to playing with that thing. Oh, another thing. Last week when I brought my homemade Busey-esque knife out, who I call Bertha, when I got home, she was covered in rust spots. So, yeah, it was raining. And that is one thing with a big knife. I don't tend to wipe it as much as I should. If I'm using a smaller knife, a bushcraft style knife, I tend to wipe it before I put it in the sheath. But with a larger one, for some reason, I don't tend to wipe it. So I think stainless is the way to go on a larger knife, for me personally. Although I do love Bertha, she has now got a few rust spots. They're mainly off now anyway. Right, I'm going. Ta-ra. Fucking hell bells. Well, that's going in at the end. Fuck me. If I had a splitting maul now, which is in the back of the truck, I would have pissed through that. I've chewed my chopping block up to hell. My soggy chopping block. What a bastard. Well, that was more work than I thought. Start that again. And that's the reason I cut these quite short, because it'll be a lot easier to cut. Start that again. So I don't know if this is my favourite axe anymore. No, it was my favourite axe anyway. I don't know what my favourite axe is. Start that again. Starting a lot again today. Blah blah. Fucking brain fart. I'll leave it at that. Good morning, welcome back to the woods. My tripod's on the wonk. Start again. Right. Good morning. And I'm going to do something which I very rarely do, and that is I'm going to do a teepee firelay. Now I don't like the teepee firelay, but in the rain it ain't bad because you're getting shelter to put your tinder underneath. I've gathered a few twigs. Right, now at this point, I'm not going to do a teepee. I don't like it, and it's going to be a mess. So I'm going to pull it apart. So the time I spent fussing with that and then decided to call it a day, I could have made 2 feather sticks. So, bit of an experiment. As I say, I haven't done a teepee firelay since I'm a kid. I don't like it.